We're talking perks today. I want to talk about what I think are probably the strongest perks in the game. Now, a couple of disclaimers going forward. One, we're going to do 5 per minor and major because I think it's kind of unfair to the major perks to put them all against the minor perks. The major perks have a super big advantage there. They're the major perks. Kind of just makes sense, right? We kind of want to compare them to their minor or major counterparts. 2, I want to talk about how it's not really about character strength overall, it's about the strength of the perk. So if there is a character like Mercy who has maybe not a great character kit right now, she's not the strongest character by herself, she might have a really big good perk that I think is one of the best perks in the game, although it might not really come out in practice, you know what I mean? So even though you might not see a lot of Mercy, she still might have one of the best perks in the game. So honestly, with that kind of out of the way, that's really what I'm looking at here. Let's talk about the minor perks first. Now, they are not going to be in order. I didn't really order them from like 5 to 1 because I don't really know. Also, reminder, they just did come out. These are kind of like my first impressions, really, although I do think some of these are made way better than the others. So with the minor perks, I have 2 honorable mentions because I wanted to just, let you know there's going to be some disagreement here. I was trying to figure it out as well. I had a couple of candidates that I thought were the best perks in the game, or could be. So for the minor ones, the 2 that I had that I left out were the 2 hearts one for Mauga, where he counts as 2 people on the card and he gets health regen when he's on any objective, which I think is very important, and Pack Rat from Wrecking Ball, which gives him 100 HP extra when he rolls through a health pack. That includes minor health packs that really amplify the healing for those as well. I think that's really important, right? So the first one I have here, we're just going to go down the list. I have Kinetic Grasp, or Kinetic Cycle, rather, for Sigma. Now, I think Sigma has a really good perk list, and I even considered him, you'll see, for one of the major perks as well, which I didn't actually end up going with. But the thing about Sigma's Kinetic Cycle that I think just makes it so good is that, you know how Kinetic Grasp already works, is that you get over health from using it, right? You get over health, depending on how much that you grab, right? But adding yet another changing variable on top of that, especially on what is a very important cooldown in your kit, one that does a lot of damage, a lot of stun. It is a projectile that cannot be eaten, it can only be blocked. Having it up so often is really important. I mean, like, I ate a lot of damage there. That was about 200 damage. Actually, it's probably like 240 now that the bots have less health, or more health rather. So that brought my cooldown back by like 7 seconds. Like, it is not a small amount, right? It's the same thing with like Junker Queen's axe change, where she can get her cooldown back in theory immediately. Sigma, very similar, can get his cooldown back really quickly. I mean, it's a 10-second cooldown that I ate about 250 damage worth, and I got it back within 4 seconds maybe. That's extremely good, and I think Accretion is just an extremely powerful ability. Again, it's hard to really stop effectively. Sigma gets bulk. Now, I think this is really important. Remember, Sigma gets bulk from using Kinetic Grasp, and he fires it, right? So he actually has a little bit of leeway when he fires the rock, to where he doesn't have to think about his health as much. It's really important. This is really good for finding and assassinating a squishy. Somebody turns on you, you just get another rock back. You can do it again. You can really win a lot of tank trades with this, right? I know Sigma has the other, like the punching one for the major perk that could really help with the tank duel, but I actually think this is pretty consistently good against a lot of tanks as well. I think there's just a lot that goes on with this perk. For the most part, you should be taking this unless you are playing against a tank or a team comp that just is not going to be feeding your Kinetic Grasp. Although for the most part, if you're playing Sigma, you probably are. Next, I'm actually going to go into the DPS category, which I didn't think there would be that many DPS in this video, but when I was really looking at them, I think there were, a couple of really good options. Junkrat actually has a very good, now his whole perk set is probably not great, but I do think that the Nitro Boost Riptire one is extremely good. One, because of its versatility, because you don't actually have to use it. You don't have to use the Nitro Boost, so you can do a regular full tire if you choose. And two, you still one-shot a majority of the cast even when you've used your Nitro Boost. So it's really important, in my opinion at least, right? It's very important to just be able to keep the tire alive, go super fast. I mean, like, how do you react to that, right? And now, that was super, like, right out in the open, right? If you come in from the ramparts, you do some crazy Junkrat rollout you could do as well, right? There might be places that you can get the tire to that you never thought you could in the time that it takes. So there could actually be some really insane Junkrat stuff that we haven't figured out yet. But again, a very important thing here is that I don't have to use that, right? If I want to go and destroy a tank, you still can. You have a lot of versatility here. It's going to keep people guessing, right? A lot of the power of tire is keeping people guessing, trying to find it and break it. One, this gives them more things to guess around, and two, it makes it harder to break. So you get all the threat of the one shot on the majority of the cast, and you have a lot more mental stack you have to put up against the enemy, and a higher mechanical skill ceiling for them to cross in order to break your tire. I think it's really interesting. Also, before I go, I actually want to show you like one more thing, right? You could really mess with a tank player or somebody trying to block it, right? So, for instance, I'll just give you a Doom, right? Doom here, he could be, what's it called? Blocking, ready for it. If you ult, and then you kind of like, you wait, and then I did it wrong because I hit the wrong button. If you do it, you wait, right? You could make him turn around. You know what I mean? You could get behind him before. You could get behind him and then flip it back around so that it comes back in front of him, right? You could literally left, right, a Doomfist, like in a fighting game, like or a Reinhardt or anybody, right? Now it does less damage, sure, but that could be the make or break. It's still 300 damage, like it's still incredible. So I actually do think that this is like an extremely powerful minor perk. Yes, it's tied to an ult, but I don't think that matters that much. Going forward, we have Sojourn. Now, I think this one is probably pretty obvious. It has got to be her overcharged one that makes her overclock go up to 150. Now, it does have to build to that 150, but remember, you can build as you're shooting people, right? And if you hit their head, whatever, this is just, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because, let's be real, you can one-shot again with Sojourn ults, and you can get a couple of them in there. And again, it's another one of those that is very versatile, right? You don't have to go for the one shot. You can fire it whenever. You can fire it when you're at 112 charge, and that could be the difference maker, right? Allowing Sojourn to go past those breakpoints and put her back into a spot where she is really going to have a lot of cards in the situation, I think is extremely important. Like, it really is something that is super powerful. You really have to respect overclock. Not that you already didn't, right? But you can really turn the tides of some games. And not even against the one shot. I mean, just 150 health against a tank is also very good, right? It builds up very fast. There's a lot you can do with it. Of course, it's just overclock plus. But overclock is a very good ult. And allowing it to go past those breakpoints is ridiculous, in my opinion. So I had to give it to Soj. I thought maybe I wouldn't do that. But let's be real. I think it's just gonna have to be that way. I'm jumping in. I'm already back. It's like the same day that I recorded this video, but I really was thinking about it, and I want to talk about one of the minor perks that I talked about after watching OWCS, and I want to actually replace one of the major perks. So I'm gonna kind of have to edit some things out here. Let's go ahead. I want to start with the minor perk that I'm a little iffy on. That is the overclock one, overcharged. I was watching a lot of OWCS today, and I had been thinking this, like, I wanted to make it clear, like, you're not supposed to take these in every single scenario, right? I just think they're the strongest on average. I think some characters have weaker perks that are kind of must picks. And some characters just have a really strong set of perks. I think Sojourn might have the single strongest set of perks in the entire game. I do not think that Sojourn's other one, the one that gives her ammo, is necessarily one of the best perks in the game. However, I do think in this current meta, and against a lot of tanks, just having increased ammo capacity on a gun that does so much damage, and also, you know, increases your rail capacity much more often without having to reload, it is not so insignificant. And that does really matter. Not only does it increase your damage overall, increases your DPS, it also increases your DPS during your ult, because you don't have to reload at all. You typically wouldn't have to reload, but you can greed a little more, right? So there's literally no risk to it whatsoever. I will stand by the fact that I do think the overcharged one is extremely good, and I'm not going to completely remove it from the list, but I think it is worth talking about because it is maybe not the best option all the time, depending on the situation, right? In your ranked game, maybe a little different, but yeah, I actually do think there is some merit to taking the one that is up more often, that you can take advantage of just all the time, right? It's a boring perk. It's very, you know, it feels minor, but it is very, very major. I wanted to put that out there for this minor perk, at least. Now, my next one is one that I think is probably not going to feel as good on ladder, compared to what is going to, like, kind of happen in maybe more organized settings, but I do want to talk about advanced teleportation with Symmetra, because it might seem very basic on paper, but in practice, I think it is extremely relevant. Now, what is advanced teleportation? Well, it just increases her TP range by 50%, which is not a small margin. Do you see how far I can put this TP? I mean, look at that. Look at this extreme distance that you can travel. And you can literally get your entire team through extremely long chokes and everything. I mean, Symmetra TP was already good for that, but now you can play Symmetra on some of these a lot more open maps and basically ignore some of the worst chokes and sight lines in the game, and then have a cohesive, functioning team comp over there, right? I think it really opens up a lot of different strategies, especially, you know, as well as high grounds. Now, Sim kind of really had no trouble getting to high grounds, but sometimes it would be you have to be a lot closer to it, and it's really easy to get up there. But now, you know, you might be on, like, Ike, and, like, kind of, like, in the choke, and throw in your TP, like, all the way up here. You know what I mean? That could really be the difference maker. You might be able to get your whole team up there as well. Again, in ranked, is it going to be as good? Probably not, but I see so much possibility with this one that really is going to open up a lot more compositions to be played on different places. How good they'll be, that's gonna be tough. But the fact that it allows them to happen in the first place, that's enough for me, right? If London Spitfire still existed, they'd probably be like, oh my god, the sim turret, the sim perks are incredible, because there's actually a couple other good ones as well that we're not going to talk about today. The final one, and I did make a disclaimer for both. I did make a disclaimer that they are not ranked, but if I had to say that one of the minor perks is the best minor perk in the game, I think it is Juno's Familiar Vitals. Now, again, this one is not very flashy either, but with how fast Juno builds her minor perk, and it's fast, which I honestly have a feeling it's going to get nerfed, being able to lock your torpedoes onto allies quicker, it's not just quicker, it's nearly instant. And it's super fast, really good burst healing on top of healing over time. Obviously, it's everything that is good about pulsar torpedoes, but just instant. You know what I mean? How does that friendly bot live that? Literally 1 HP, getting hit by 240 damage within, what, 1 or 2 seconds, at most 2 seconds, and they're basically at full right away. Did you see how quickly it was? Like, I'm like gonna wait for the rockets to start. There you go. And I saved the left one. It's insane. It literally is insane. And remember, this goes for your whole team. It's an extreme momentum boost. And the reason why I think it's actually super, super good is that it builds extremely quickly, right? I did talk about that. But imagine you're in the middle of a fight and you get your perk first and you just instantly pop it. And now you have just crazy momentum. The other team doesn't have anything like that power spike. It is a really good miner on top of it just being super, super, super fast. So in this first version of perks, it has to be the best miner. Like I see no other world where this is not the best miner perk in the entire game, honestly. So with that out of the way, those are the minor perks. Let's move on to the honorable mentions for the major perks. Now, I have a lot more honorable mentions here since the major perks are a lot more game shifting. Maybe I missed a couple, let me know, and maybe I've put the wrong ones in here. Again, I'd love to hear back from you guys. But my honorable mentions are going to be the Power Matrix from Doomfist, the one that gives him 1 second of invulnerability through block. It charges up his punch, and it greatly reduces the damage that he takes during block. It is very underrated. I think it increases his survivability by a lot more than you might think. It is not just used for eating flashbangs and everything like that. It really is super important, just in terms of everything. Next, I think, is Levitation for Sigma. A little more niche than a lot of the major perks, but once Levitation is on a map that it's really good for, where he can fly up to high ground, it drastically changes his game plan. Putting Sigma at any off angle possible is really good. I'm thinking Blizzard World second, I'm thinking Junkertown third, I'm thinking those kind of maps, right? Where he's already really good, but you really are enabling him super, super hard. I really like Levitation in those situations. Next, we're going to talk about Full Salvo. That is honorable mention for Echo. You get the extra sticky bombs that do less damage. Overall, they do a lot more. It puts them in the breakpoints really fast. I think it's just actually extremely good. If you hit all of them, it's like a guaranteed kill. Dual Thrusters for Sojourn. If the map depends, again, I think you can get really fancy with this. There's a lot of movement tech with it. Pair it with Overcharge. It's going to be just so monumentally good. Agility training for Soldier. Soldier is a functional character with this, maybe not a super strong one, but a lot more functional with 20% movement speed and reload. It's like quality of life, but also the 20% movement speed is really drastic, and it's going to let Soldier actually make his game plan possible. I do think it is a really, really good perk. The Shrike Ana one, the one where she gives double nano. I feel like I don't have to explain this. A lot of people might think this is top 5. I'm just going a little out there, but this was the one that was like number 6. Like I was really considering putting this one in there. Not going to explain it that much. And finally, Quick Fix from Brig. The healing that you get on critical health targets with Brig pack, it's just insane. It is just so much. It can just save people on a dime. You can really greed them because Brig pack is like instant almost. So those are very, very, very good. But there are actually, in my opinion, some that are really more consistent or honestly just better overall. The first one we're going to talk about is Nanite Repair with Ramatra. Now, Ram has a very, very good perk set here, but Ram recently has kind of been struggling to be meta before this season because his survivability, he has a lot of it, but he is giving up a little bit when he's, using some things. And he doesn't have like kind of like that self-sustain like a lot of the other tanks like Hazard, who's got like a lot more mobility, and like Malga, who of course has the lifesteal and all of that. This grenade giving Ramatra health when he is inside of it, and it is not an insignificant amount of health, is extremely good. Look how much healing he's getting. And remember, you can be blocking, you can be doing any of that, right? Because you can throw your grenade at all. This just makes him a frontline demon. If he is able to, general game plan, right? I want to speed on to the back line. I'm going to hit them with a grenade, and then I'm going to go in there. And then since they're slowed, I'm going to be in my grenade radius when I am hitting them. That is everything that you want, right? I think that this makes Ramatra's game plan just incredibly powerful. Ramatra is a force to be reckoned with on the front line. He's got his shield, then he's got the form, and then he also has the grenade. If he's going low, he can just hold his dukes, heal himself. He can allow his team to put resources other places because he's got it. He's got everything that he needs. This is not the strongest in my opinion, but this is like contender for like top 2 perk in the game, if I had to guess. Now, I think that they're going to reduce that healing number if Ramattra, and Ramattra is being played a lot in OWCS this weekend from what I've seen. I have a feeling that that number is going to go down, but it is extremely powerful right now. Do not sleep on this one. It is something that you cannot ignore. Like, you literally cannot ignore this one. If you do, Ramattra is never going to die. You're never going to understand why. Next, I have another tank perk. I'm going to Winston here. Now, this is the one that, you know, maybe isn't the single best in the game, but being able to heal in your barrier with Revitalizing Barrier, it's just so powerful. Like, I want you to ignore allies for a second here and really just think about Winston. Winston's whole game plan revolves around where his barrier is, right? If I go in and, you know, let's say like I jump, the second I put my barrier down, that is where I am limited to fight, right? That is where I can go. Giving him health in the barrier actually kind of extends Winston's effective playing field. He can pop out of it a little more and know that he'll be fine because he'll get a little extra healing when he's in it. He can play in it the entire time and heal himself up and kind of revitalize himself. He can go for maybe riskier dives when he's at lower health. He can kind of keep the tempo going again because he'll have a bit of a backup, right? He doesn't have to be at full health to take a dive if the situation calls for it, right? That's really, really, really important. It's also nice to know that your allies can get health from it too. So, you know, your allies can play around your barrier and go for riskier plays as well. It really enables a lot more than I think a lot of people are giving it credit for. It is just kind of, I don't know if I would call it game warping or like game plan shaking, but it truly is much better than I think a lot of people are going to understand. Like, there are a lot more applications, I think, to the healing bubble than you might think. So that, I mean, that's really it. I mean, it's healing inside of his bubble. Like, it's just making his game plan better and introducing so many more options to it that I don't think I could ignore. Like, I really felt like I had to talk about this one. And also here I am replacing one, spoiler, it was Zarya. I had Zarya's one where she bubbled her allies. The more that I thought about it, the more that I was like, I don't know how much you really utilize out of this. If they burst the bubble, the speed boost is just gone. And the healing passive, you know, again, if they burst the bubble, they can just break through the healing passive. Healing passive really isn't even that much to begin with. So I wanted to take one of my honorable mentions and pop it up into the main thing. Not the Ana one, it's going to be Dual Thrusters. I actually really underestimated just the incredible power that having 2 slides does. Yes, I understand just having 2 of your movement abilities, and also there's some weird tech that I don't quite understand how you can, oh, okay, well, I guess I figured it out there. Some weird, really like launching yourself out, going forward. Just giving Sojourn this type of movement to get her around the map so quickly to reposition and reposition shot, get your shot back, go somewhere else, take another shot. By that point, you might have another thruster back, go again. Yeah, I really should have considered that a little more. I don't think it's great every single place, but honestly, you probably can't go wrong if you do get this. So, yes, I do think that the dual thrusters is absolutely insane. Do I think it will probably be nerfed? Maybe. But the sheer movement capability that you can get out of this is so great. And, you know, it still has a bit of a vertical component. Like, if it were not nearly as vertical, like if it were purely horizontal, I think that this would only be somewhat useful. I say somewhat useful, but a lot more like situational. The fact that it really doesn't matter, I mean, you know what I mean? I can really get anywhere I could really want unless it's, you know, just super high up, right? So not like the tips. And you can still kind of do the mini jump or the super jump, but not to the same extent. Yeah, so I think that is very, very important to talk about because I think that the other perks are good still, But, like, I think dual thrusters is something that I was really underestimating. And after seeing it used to such great effect this weekend, I really do think that it is definitely one of the best in the game. So, sorry for the interruptions. Carry on. Bye, I guess. I'm going to save the last one because I do think that is maybe the most agreed upon best perk in the game. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree. We'll talk about that in a second. This one, though, definitely contender for top 2, I would say. This is Shuffling. This is Kiriko's one that allows her to TP a couple of seconds after she's already TP'd. I feel like I don't need to tell you why this is so good. You know what I mean? I really don't think I have to explain why Kiri being able to have such a free motion of teleport is crazy good. Because she has already 2 survivability abilities, and you're effectively giving her another cooldown of one of her best tools. Now, it does not go on cooldown until you've actually shuffled again. So you can't just like hold your shuffle for as long as possible, then shuffle at the very last second, and then you'll have like 3 seconds left. You do go on a full 7-second cooldown, so you will be able to track Kiri. But I mean, I think the easiest thing that I can kind of show you here, and I don't understand, oh, because I don't have a friendly bot over here, but we'll do it in like a short distance, right? Let's say I'm over here with my ally, and this ally goes low. You know, I just do this, I Suzu, and then I'm out. How does the team punish that? You know what I mean? How do you punish that kind of Suzu? Because I'm going to be in Vuln when I'm TPing, and I save my team, and I'm not going to be stuck there. So I go in and then I'm out. Or you mean like Kiri can just go to more angles, right? It's not even just going to be out. It can just be like, hey, my tank is super low. I'm going to TP them, do that, and then go TP to the next angle, right? Or you can kind of just, you know, somebody is hitting from one angle, they're about to leave, the next one is coming in. You can go, okay, I'm with my flanker here, right, I'm going with them. Okay, next person's ready. Okay, I'm going with them. Okay, now I'm getting out, I'm getting to safety, right? This eliminates one of Kiriko's biggest risks, is that I think Kiri was not annoying because once she TP'd, you know, she's very vulnerable, right? It's very easy to kind of catch her, especially if you're playing on like a much flatter map where she doesn't have that vertical control. With Shuffling, it is going to be much more difficult. Trying to track which DP she's on is probably much harder. There might be a visual indicator, but to be honest with you, I don't know. And something gives me a feeling that there isn't, so you might not even know. So it's going to be difficult. Now, of course, you can still punish her, but the windows of opportunity are going to be way less. And you never know when she's going to do it again, right? Honestly, again, you might not know if she has it, when she has it. You know, she might be, that might be the second TP, that might be the first TP. Now you're kind of like, do I pump resources in to try to kill her? Do I try to chase her? I really don't know. It's just insane. It is going to be extremely relevant when you pick Kiri. I don't even know what the other perk is. It's like giving allies move speed, attack speed or something when you cleanse them or use Suzu on them. No, this one is just, it is just insane for this character. And finally, we'll talk about the final perk of the game. You probably saw this coming. This is kind of the agreed upon, maybe best perk in the entire game. It's Flashback. Recall restores all blink charges. If you don't really understand why this one would be so powerful, Tracer's power is in her survivability and lethality. She has no problems with the lethality, but, you know, sometimes she is a glass cannon, she can get caught out, and, you know, blink management is really hard. Or you could do this. 1 blink, I'm in. Okay, whatever, I'm fighting this guy. 2 blinks, 3 blinks. I recall, I have another blink, I'm going in, I'm okay, I'm alive. Insane mid-fight pressure, insane survivability, insane pre-fight pressure where she can really just kind of like all in, balls to the wall, take a crazy duel, go away. Now that you've won the duel, you can just kind of like blink in a little more aggressively to help your team to get back in there, right? Remember, blinks are restoring during this entire time, so I can basically get like 4 blinks and then recall, and then get more blinks, you know, and then look at that, and I'm at another blink. Do you see what I'm talking about? It's not just Tracer gets 3 extra blinks. She gets a lot more on top of it. greatly increases her survivability, her mobility, her everything. There is so much to this one. It increases her dual potential. You don't get to dual Tracer anymore because she has she's gonna have like 7 blinks when you duel her, and she's going to pepper you out. She is going to win. She's got the effective health, and I'm even saying effective health as in survivability. You're not gonna be able to hit her that much, right? Trying to win a duel with Tracer is going to be a lot more about forcing recall out as early as possible, so that she loses out on those blinks, but she will always have more than 3 when she takes a duel with you. Always keep that in mind. She's always going to have more than she typically does when she takes a blink with you, or a duel with you. So you are already going to be a lot more disadvantaged in that fight. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. And again, movement abilities are versatile. She can do anything she wants. She can do so much stuff. She can pilot so much more aggressively. She can do, again, anything. I don't even know how to, like, continue. I don't have that much more to say. Now, if I were a betting man, I honestly think that maybe Shuffling from Kiri is better overall. But, you know, Tracer is the highest skilled hero in the game, skill ceiling character in the game. Putting more blinks into somebody's hands that, you know, professionals in particular, it probably will prove me wrong, and it'll just be like, wow, if you are really utilizing these, it's just uncontestable. And even if you aren't utilizing them properly, just having them is such an insane buff to this character. So that's what I think. I think those are the 10 best, you know, asterisk perks in the game. I do want to hear back from you guys, though. What do you think? Do you think maybe some of the honorable mentions were there? What were some of the ones that I missed? What are some of the worst? I might go do that video later. I am working on a competitive integrity video, but I did not finish the script, and you can kind of hear my voice is a little hoarse today. I'm a little recovering from a cold, so be on the lookout for that one sometime soon, but not quite. And a good way to do that is to subscribe and like the video, ring the bell. I don't think I've ever asked anyone to ring the bell before. You can do that. Join my membership if you want extra videos as well. Follow me, twitch.tv/LaneHemingway. That's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Or right here on YouTube, I stream live as well. Join my Discord down below. Keep up to date with all that. If I didn't tell you to like the video, you should like the video. I appreciate it a lot. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please have a good day.